Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for what you can do. My name's Jake, and today we're discussing some of the details around the $50,000 that ICE folks supposedly are going to get in exchange for being slave catchers. And I've got a proposal for the right wing. Now, I've put a donation link in both chats. I want to be very clear, though. I regret putting in the description of the horizontal chat because I don't think horizontal viewers will want to fund what it is I intend to do. But vertical viewers might. And so I have put up a donation link to a GoFundMe that I started this evening. Here's the deal. I do want to go to Minnesota and see for myself if ICE really is behaving the way I think they're behaving based on my media ecosystem. Now, I think you all in the vertical chat have seen enough of me to at least acknowledge that I am capable of attempting an honest assessment of a situation. So here's what I'm going to suggest to you in the vertical chat. If you're feeling generous, if you're feeling curious, donate to that GoFundMe and send me to Minnesota to see for myself if, in fact, ICE is behaving the way I think they're behaving. And I want to tell you, you possibly could be getting me killed. That's what I offer to you. I think ICE is dangerous. I think ICE are, even if they don't intend to kill me, they might accidentally fire off their weapons and shoot me just for walking around in the general vicinity. I want to go to Minnesota, and it looks like I got to bounce between Minneapolis and Milwaukee to get I don't know why I specified a state. But yeah, it looks like I've got to travel a bit to go to the heart of where ICE is. So if you are a right winger, it's win-win for you. Either I show up and I have to admit to my horizontal audience that it's not as bad as we've been told, that we're only seeing the worst of the worst, and that those situations, those three I mean, I think pretty blatant murders that we saw are outliers, and that and normally ICE is doing heroic work. Or if that's not the case, I could get killed, in which case you win again and you've got a progressive killed. And you can say you did that. You can say, hey, if I did nothing else this year, at least I got that D-bag progressive murdered by ICE. And I can be proud of that. I can be happy about that. I can finally ejaculate during sex because I've killed a progressive. That's the offer I have for you. Um, I hope I hope it's appealing. Now, the reason I am asking for money is because the accusation that I've had of doing this for money is wildly inaccurate. This is the only sweater I have or sweatshirt that I have that doesn't have holes that compromise its ability to keep heat in. So, do with that information what you will. Uh, Alan Quinn says, getting paid by Soros, get out of the way. That simple, simple. Well, that's the thing. I'm not getting Soros money. Now, I'd love to get Soros money, except I specifically get up here and rant about how I'm trying to kick George Soros in the nuts and tell me if this because I'm a progressive. I despise George Soros, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. Less Warren Buffett, if I'm honest, than the rest of them. Because at least when Warren Buffett's, fucking you up the ass, he's being honest about it. He's saying, "Hello, this is anal sex, and I'm able to do it because I'm a billionaire." But I don't like these people. You see, I'm not a fan of them. Now, where you and I probably part ways, Alan Quinn, is that I also don't like the Koch brothers. And we could flip a coin with you, but I also don't like AIPAC or any foreign government having influence over U.S. elections. That is something that progressives and MAGA appear to have in common, is our shared hatred of these people. But it brings us back to the core problem. The core problem is, if I were to try to get to a state other than my own, it would take me weeks because I would have to walk because there is not enough gasoline in my vehicle or ability to fill it to get me there. That's the level of finances I am at in order to do this show for you. Glad you aren't a Jakesicle. I was earlier. Yes. Yeah, he thinks you respectably. He's at least a gentleman about it. Christ. Oy. Just the folks I'm trying to talk to. Another based ICE department says another liberal leftist cuck trying to destroy America. At some point, you've just got to deport these degenerates. Where to begin? I have spent, and my horizontal audience who do return to the stream actually, and maybe one or two people. I'm talking Jay Dizzle and Larry Laffer from the vertical streams. Maybe they will be here to help confirm this, but I've spent the last couple of weeks telling y'all again and again how much I don't even get mad anymore. Just how much it bums me out to see you refer to a liberal and the leftist as apparently interchangeable things. I'm not asking you to agree with me in this moment. I just want you to learn something, if only so that you can fight me better and more effectively. Because at least it'll be a productive fight then. But leftists hate liberals. Most of the people that your folks talk about are liberals. The Chuck Schumers of the world, the Hakeem Jeffries of the world, the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the Andrew Cuomo's of the world, the Bill Clintons of the world, the Kamala Harris's of the world, everybody that you hear about, except for maybe Bernie Sanders, AOC, those are liberals. And Bernie Sanders and AOC, those are leftists, and there's a massive difference. And fun fact, we hate each other arguably more than we hate you. We get angrier with you because we think you're, destroying the world, but we also think they're destroying the world and they're lying to us about it. So that's just a point of clarity. As far as being a cuck, well, you have to be able to charm a woman into dating you in order for her to cheat on you in a manner that you find sexually titillating. So I don't even pass. I don't even rise to the level of cuck, unfortunately. Trying to destroy America, I would say inaccurate. That's that. I will say I am certainly looking to fundamentally change America. So you're not. It's not as inaccurate as the liberal leftist thing. But I am fun. I mean, I'm not. I don't consider it destruction. But you're right that I want to do massive change to America, and specifically, there's one thing that I'm trying to do. I want to raise the cap on Social Security. Taxable income for Social Security. That sounds super boring, I understand, but it's a massive change. Right now, there's a maximum amount you can cap, the maximum amount of dollars that you can tax for Social Security. I want to raise that so there is no limit. And the reason I want to raise that is because when you put a cap on it, that's it sets the amount of money per year. How do I put this? When you put a cap on it, it taxes middle class folks. But if you take the cap off, it still taxes middle class folks, but it also then taxes billionaires. And I want billionaires getting taxed at least as much as you and me. Now, again, it doesn't sound huge, but I'm counting that as destroy America because it is huge. I know it sounds boring, but that would be a fundamental change. Now, you might be able to convince me. This is not what I think we should do, but I could be convinced that instead of eliminating the cap, we could reverse the cap, where we only tax people to pay for Social Security above a certain income level. But that's where I stand. At some point, you just got to deport these degenerates. Here's a problem I have with that philosophy generally. I don't know who you mean by these degenerates, but whoever you mean, it's passing the buck. If you're saying there are people present that we know about that are so horrible, that you want to deport them, I say, why are you making it another country's problem? Why not find out who is this person a degenerate or are they not? What are they accused of, and can we prove it? Put them through a court of law and either imprison them or set them free. But don't just say, "Oh, we're passing the buck. Oh, we'll let some other country do things." I just feel like it's a cop out. I'm sorry to say, but I feel like that is not solving a problem. That is acknowledging that other countries are better able to solve the world's problems than we are, and we don't need more of that right now. The U.S. is declining in power faster than I have ever imagined was possible, and I have been warning about the decline of U.S. power for the last 10 years, but it's happening so much faster than even I was able to predict. So I don't think we should embarrass ourselves by doing that. One-eyed Will. One-eyed Will, he says, in the picture, calling people's leftist cucks when you suck of a man who shields rapists and pedophiles is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. Yeah, no political party right now can hold its head high because the Epstein files have made it through 2 administrations and 1 law declaring that they must be released, and we still don't have them. So none of us can really brag, but it is true. I did note as well the irony of being called a leftist cuck by someone who presumably is running defense for a pedophile. Johnston 37111 says U.S. power is at its best. Did you not see Venezuela, dude? Yes, I did. Why would you think that's a sign of U.S. power? Imagine you uh, grab a shotgun and kick in the door uh, to a kindergarten and rush into the classroom and hold everybody back, and you snatch the teacher and you grab a sack full of the kids' toys and you back out of the room. That's us in Venezuela. Uh, wasn't particularly difficult to attack a country that had not been preparing for war because why would they? It would be insane to attack them. And then we robbed them. Now, now we've got the Canadian Navy guarding Greenland. Now we've got the biggest trade deal of my lifetime between what is it, China? No, India and Russia. Now I have to look it up. India, was it China or India? But it doesn't really matter because they are trading with our enemies now. Oh my God, the EU India trade deal. Okay, so it's, as always, worse than I thought, and I apologize. So our former allies and our former allies have cut us out of a trade deal. The EU and India are forming a new trade deal. Once upon a time, we had a piece of every pie, but because we are no longer predictable, because we do things like raid Venezuela, um, our our soft power is what holds up our hard power. Our soft power is what makes us able to finance our hard power. For example, Donald Trump would often say, like, the whole world is scamming us, and our military is in all these places, and their military isn't. We're doing all the work. The problem from a power perspective is that when other countries rely on our military, that's called soft power, even though we're using our hard power to achieve it, they also are then reliant on us, you see. Then if they got a problem with us, well, they also got a problem with the person that keeps them safe. So are you sure you got a problem with us? That's gone. Uh, we there's something called the BRICS in Latin America as a result of Venezuela. It's a new kind of trade currency. It is meant to replace the dollar as the trade currency of South America. Why do we care about that? Well, because when the dollar is the accepted trade currency between countries, it boosts up the value of the dollar. It stabilizes the dollar. Now that countries cannot trust us not to attack them randomly, they're finding there's not a great massive singular moment. There's 1,000 shock waves. They're basically building life without us. That's all it is. They're saying, okay, we get it, we get it. Trump administration won. It looked bad. Then it looked like we were stabilizing under Biden. We weren't, but it looked like it. I'm not a fan of Biden. You will see. But now Trump administration too. Oh, they're straight up attacking Venezuela. Oh, they're saying they want to invade Greenland. We cannot count on the United States anymore. They are too crazy. They're too unpredictable. Crucially, that's the thing. They never cared if we massacred people. They never cared if we killed our own citizens. It's that we're unpredictable now. And predictability is required for financial transactions of this scale because they take years often to pay off. So, yeah, US power is hemorrhaging, and you haven't even seen the actual effects yet. We're only seeing the deals being made. And we cannot undo this, by the way. The deals that are being made, these are multi-generational deals. They will literally outlive you. So it's too late. We have to save what power we can. And it's unlikely that we're going to be able to live with the sort of it's unlikely we're going to be able to live with the sort of I don't want to say freedom because it wasn't really freedom, but arrogance on the international stage that we had before. We could go up there and talk a big game because everybody relied on our military for their own protection. Not anymore. Because everybody relied on our dollar to fill their wallets. Not anymore. They're doing the worst thing to us they could possibly do, which is just ignore us. Pinkerbell says, here in this stream has every dollar they earned taxed for socialist security. Lift the cap. Yeah. Lift the cap. Why am I reading it over there? Lift the cap and make that true for higher incomes earners too. Yeah, that's it. Exactly what I would like to do. Oh my God, I'm all the way behind. This guy is a living example of Dunning-Kruger. Not quite. I'm dumb enough that people remind me of it every single day. They truly do. Jay Dizzle, great to see you. I don't remember our armies fighting each other. I'm not sure to what you're referring. I'm talking mostly about soft power, which is post Cold War, how the United States had been essentially, well, yeah, had been how the United States had essentially prospered most by being the one world's superpower. But we've managed to, for very little gain, for a couple hundred million, maybe a couple of $billion worth of oil, given up a multi-trillion-dollar hold on the world. Oh, look at the okay. Sorry, let me go up. Look at the first post I did before that. Says Jay Dizzle. Gang, in the vertical streams, we have more viewers. Don't get excited if you're a long time horizontal viewer. We still have more watch hours. People actually watch us for the most part in the horizontal streams. But it is important to talk to folks who we know we don't agree with, because I can't stress enough, we're getting lied to. Did we attack Venezuela or remove a dictator? We did both. Is Maduro a dictator? I think so. Yeah, I think Maduro is not a good human being. But I mean, we did both. We blew up buildings. We shot people. People are dead now because of what we did. I shouldn't laugh, but and then Trump, he got over. He was given the Nobel Prize, which is apparently what he really wanted. I don't know. But yeah, our military invaded Venezuela, shot a bunch of people, blew up some buildings, and kidnapped a guy and his wife. Horizontal viewer, so like dead? I don't follow him. I'm sorry, Walter Davis. L take. What was incorrect about that? Did we or did we not send our military to go snatch up the leader of another country? Sincerely tell me if you see that as wrong. Russia and China are scared of us now? Russia, who was invited to be on Putin's board of peace. Or excuse me, Trump's board of peace. I don't know why they would be. China feels like they have free reign to invade Taiwan now. I don't see why they would be scared of us. We're weaker now than we were when Trump got into office this time. Why in the world would they be scared of us? At best, they're afraid that we will act irrationally. But the whole world is afraid we will act irrationally. And their response is not going to be to give us things and hope we don't act irrationally. It's sort of the whole point of being irrational. Cause and effect are just a matter of, they're suggestions really at this point. Yeah, that guy is a dictator. I don't think he's a good guy. There's a difference, though, between thinking somebody's a dictator and thinking our country has the right to kill citizens of another country to take them out of power. It's not our country. It's not ours to decide. you just can't argue with stupid. I know, but I try. And I try because that's my native language. I have told folks many, many times, you can get educated and learn to speak correctly as far as that goes, but, I carry stupid with me, as Jesus carried the cross. Watch me try to pull up a clip on here. I've got a few. You will be shocked. Well, Johnston says he is calling you stupid. Oh, fair enough. Okay. I don't know. See, here's the problem, Roman. You are watching media, except for this, I have to give you credit, but you are watching media that is willfully lying to you. Now, I might tell you untrue things. I truly don't know. Um, but if you think Venezuelans are happy that the U.S. just invaded them uh, and then took their oil, which they nationalized, and they pay what is it, 4 cents a gallon for? Not anymore. Um, I'm sorry, but you're just wrong. You're straight up wrong, and it's probably not your fault. It's probably because somebody lied to you, and somebody got paid money to lie to you. I want to be able, and I hope that, no, I wanna be able to, separate the chats. I wanna you know what, maybe I can just go look in the, I'll scroll up till I see a name I see. Dell, great to see you. It's not America first to go to other countries and take their leaders and rebuild their infrastructure. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the pretty well put. It's not. Dell says it's not America first to go to other countries and take their leaders and rebuild their infrastructure. Yeah, and I also note that Trump is very free with the word "we" when it comes to the oil because we don't get a damn thing. Exxon gets the oil. Maybe BP gets the oil or Amoco or whatever the huge companies are. But that money goes to a slush fund in Qatar that you don't have access to. None of your representatives have access to. We don't get anything. I mean, if Venezuela counterattacks, you might get a funeral for your cousin who had to guard Exxon's property, stolen property in Venezuela. You might get to put on a suit and go to a funeral. Sure. But what we don't get is money. What we don't get are the benefits. We just, our military, our resources are being used to suck the cocks of oligarchs. And you don't have to agree with me about the policies that I want to just acknowledge the truth. It's weird. It's very weird that we keep doing this to ourselves. Yesterday, Pinkerbell is a good and righteous mod. Thank you for giving him a chance, and thank you for telling him that specifically what he was doing that was awry. Uh, so here's the deal, gang. Oh, and let me so you don't have to beer, so you don't have to keep saying this. Let me put it on the screen. Uh, Beer Czar Kofigus says, "Hey MAGA, click the three buttons in the top right and select Don't recommend the channel. It kills his algorithm. He'll not respond and block me." Oh, sorry, dude, I kind of killed it. Took the way. I wasn't trying to make a show of that. I'm sorry. I don't blame you for thinking I'm going to behave like every other streamer. I may at some point show you um, what talking to you actually does for my algorithm. It'll depress you though. The average watch time for folks in the vertical. I see the numbers right now. It looks like this is gonna have tons of views. And the average watch time in the vertical is like 15 seconds. But the reason I am continuing to do this is because of Jay Dizzle, is because of Larry Laffer, and I hope somebody else soon. Just two human beings are worth literally hours of my time, and getting called a cuck and as an insult I actually take personally, getting called somebody who enjoys liberals. Here's my conspiracy theory I'll share with you. I think you are told either wrong things about me or only shown very specific true things about me over and over and over, so that you think that those true things about me are the only thing that I care about. I think the same is true of my view of you. But I got to tell you, this message that you've written here, this is the kind of I write when I see somebody that I think is just running a scam. This is what I write. Um, and so I think you and I have similar principles. Obviously not in politics, but like in terms of ethics. And I think we can work with that because I don't. Let me tell you the future I see, specifically with this coming election. I don't think any of you in the vertical are going to vote for what any of us in the horizontal want to watch, want to watch, want to see happen. I'm trying to describe a movement as a action. I don't think you're going to vote for the policies I like. Let me put it like that. I don't even think you're going to vote for human beings that I don't have a personal distaste for. But, and I'll tell you, we're not going to vote probably then for people you like. But in the primaries, you and I have a mutual interest. In the primaries, I have noted that both of us want to get rid of people that are keeping big money in politics, that are keeping oligarchs with their boots on our necks. I also note that as of the poll I did yesterday for both chats, um, both of us think that both parties have somewhere between 50 and 100% rates of criminality amongst elected officials. There's no proof, but we both suspect within both parties, and I polled two very different demographics, the answers were exactly the same. Basically, everybody acknowledged we think these people, when they get into office, commit crimes. How are we going to stop that, man? Sincerely, what's your plan to stop that? Because if it's just continually blindly supporting your side and accusing the other side of everything you can think of to dislike, we will die poor, and having never seen America fulfill its promise. And we are look, I'm guilty of that with Joe Biden. I hated him the entire time he was president. I hated him when he was running for president. I still fucking put in work to get him there. And I ran cover for him. Like when he was doing that, I know you won't agree with what I'm going to say, but he participated, in my opinion. Me, I think this. I think Joe Biden participated in an illegal genocide. And they still tricked me into supporting the motherfucker. So there's a problem here. And we don't have to agree with each other's politics to fix the problem. We just have to agree that in the primaries, we're not going to let anybody pass the line if they take Soros money, if they take APAC money, if they take Gates money, if they take Koch money, if they take I can't think of it, Buffett money. You see what I'm saying? If we do that, I think we can. I have a fairly good feeling I don't have reason to believe that anything good will ever happen on Earth based on my life experience. But I have a good feeling that at least you can get, you can replace Ted Cruz, for example. Why the do you still have Ted Cruz in Texas? In Texas, you can't get somebody better than a coward who scurries away every time there's a snowstorm. You could get somebody who votes exactly like Ted Cruz votes, but never runs away when there's a snowstorm. You could have that in Texas. You just have to acknowledge that people on your side can be F ups. And I'll tell you, it's free. STF Devoy82 says, shut the up. Trump derangement syndrome piece of very well. Oh my God, the viewership actually went up. I might have to listen to you for your advice. Oh, my word. You see, look, horizontal viewers, sometimes, even when you think there can't possibly be value in what the other side is saying, sometimes if you just hear them out, there's a little bit of it's good advice. All right, I'm sorry, I gotta jump straight to the bottom because I'm so far behind. Now, Zhang Kung says MAGA means Israel first. I don't think MAGA means that, actually. I think centrist Republicans think that. I think centrist Democrats think that. But what do those folks have in common? They take money from super PACs. But if you go to the fringes of MAGA and you go to the fringes of progressives, what do they have in common? They don't take money from super PACs. Or some version of that. They won't take APAC money, they won't take billionaire money, et cetera, because they know it's corrupt. So, Zhang Kun, I understand why you would be left with that impression that specifically MAGA means Israel first. Probably because you're a Democrat. I don't know, or whatever. You're something other than Republican. And when you are told about Republicans, or specifically when you're told about MAGA, they show you a standard Republican and tell you that's the same thing. And then when we react to MAGA, we take all that hate we have for the Ted Cruzes and the Marco Rubios of the world and we dump it on MAGA. But remember at the beginning of the stream when I got called a leftist liberal cuck as opposed to the nice, appropriate, and lovely leftist cuck? It's because these fine sons of Yakub have also been lied to about who we are, and I think we just got to talk to these devils and tell them, hey, hate me for the right reasons. You'll still hate me. You will still hate me. I'm just saying, hate me for accurate reasons. Hey, speaking of, special rule for Pinkerbell. If anybody annoys her, Pinkerbell, you may, for petty reasons. I just see you're talking to somebody else here, and they're mouthing off. If anybody annoys you, Pinkerbell, for even the pettiest of reasons, you can ban them. Just because I trust your judgment, and I think you understand what I'm trying to do here. So use your judgment. Don't. I know I asked folks to be easy with the banning earlier. You specifically, Pinkerbell, don't have to be. You could do as you please. She is the Southerner that I have learned to. I've learned to trust the opinion of. Manda the Pivot with a great point. So I'm going to talk a little bit about U.S. Border Patrol, give you a sense of how I feel about it, so that you can understand how possibly wrong I am. And if you think I'm wrong, I am actually having the balls to ask you to fund me going to Minnesota. Now, why would you, presumably somebody who supports ICE, support a progressive going to Minnesota? For two reasons. Number one, I think I have demonstrated that I can be earnest about what is in front of my eyeballs. And I would like to continue the very conversation we're having right now with you when I can talk to ICE agents. I want to talk to ICE. I might even buy them a beer. I might go to their hotel and just drop off beer for them. Yeah. And there's another reason you might want to fund a progressive going to Minnesota, because if I'm right about it and they are behaving like animals, maybe I'll die. You could be responsible for that. You could cause the death of a progressive. This one, this idiot right here. And if you'd like me to die, if you'd like me to be maced and thrown down to the ground and savagely beaten and then shot in the back 10 times like Kyle Preddy, well, then toss a couple of bucks my way. And you have my location right here. You will see me go to Minnesota and hopefully get brutally killed for your entertainment. Do think about it. Nice try, scammer. Now, here's the deal. There are a lot of scams. There surely are a lot of scams. I don't know how to prove to you that I'm not scamming, other than I would say watch my previous couple of streams if you kind of like the idea but are wary of getting scammed. Watch my previous streams and tell me if you think at least that I don't have an interest in finding out if we're being lied to. The core source of my consternation and the reason I want to physically get to Minnesota and am willing to endanger my state by leaving, let's say, my post, I don't know what you call it, leaving my neck of the woods, is because I want to be able to say with my own that I saw with my own eyeballs what was going on, and I want to make an assessment without a bunch of people screaming, without news commentators talking about it. But I can't stress enough. From what I can tell, I might die, and so I'm encouraging my horizontal viewers not to donate because I don't think you want that on your soul if it happens. I also don't think it'll happen, but it could happen. I'll tell you, if I saw a lady get pushed down into the snow like Kyle Preddy did, Kyle, oh, I'm thinking of I'm confusing Alex Preddy and Keith Porter Jr., two gun-owning Americans who were killed by ICE. Excuse me. But if I saw a lady get pushed down into the snow like Alex Preddy did, I would probably help her out of the snow like Alex Preddy did. And as we've seen, that gets you killed. That gets you maced, thrown down, beaten, and then shot in the back by ICE. So if you're horizontal, you don't want to see that happen to me. I get it. But if you're vertical, you definitely want to see that happen to me. And you could make it happen. I promise you I'll be live streaming if it comes to that situation. I'm not going to be live streaming ICE agents that I buy a beer for. But I am going to, because I think, have had bad experiences thus far with getting live streamed doing crimes. They certainly are not comfortable showing their faces in public, much less on a live stream. And I'm not trying to put them in a position, especially when they're off duty, um, where they feel I'm attacking them. That's not what I want to do. I literally want to see, do you enjoy beer? Would you perhaps be interested in unionizing ICE, you ICE agents? I think you have unreasonable goals set by people who have no idea what they're doing. I have a feeling the administration would respond to an attempt to unionize ICE with, well, in an interesting manner. But regardless, I'm not going I'm not attempting to go to Minnesota for reasons that are dishonest. and it makes me sad that I can't somehow prove that to you, but I hope you'll take a risk and find out because we've been doing the same thing, it appears, for our whole damn lives, and nothing's changing. Third Coast Gems. Oh, let's go to what Dell says. Oh, here we go. Alex Preddy was well known to ICE CBP as the week before he got his rib broken in an altercation with them. He brought a gun to the he brought a gun next time. The next time. Screw these criminals. Ah. Are you suggesting that you can kill somebody for possessing a gun? Alex Preddy was a, VA nurse, so he hung out with soldiers. He spent his time around soldiers, healing them. It's not a surprise to me that he's a gun owner, and it saddens me to see one of the things. I didn't think there were many things that Republicans actually cared about. To be frank, I think, and I'm not trying to insult you, I would like to be relieved of this belief if it is untrue. But I don't think you actually care about most of the things you say you care about. But I thought gun ownership was one of them. I did think that was an actual principle you held. But this is a very common response that I'm seeing. That the fact that he had a gun at all was worthy of, it was okay to kill him over that. Third Coast Gems, you've been here before. And I'm sad to see that I'm not seeing so far any attempt by you to learn, to assess the situation in a sober manner. Vanilli Millie says, how about you go to Minneapolis and tell protesters to quit being nuts? If I see them being nuts, I will. But I don't think it's nuts to blow a whistle at an officer. I think that's about the most harmless thing you can do, and a gentle but clear response to illegal kidnappings. They're snatching people up without cause. I take it back. They're legal now. These Kavanaugh stops are now legal. You can racially discriminate, and that's what they are doing. They see a brown person, they swarm them. But it's unethical, and we are going to burn in hell for it. Ooh, Dell hitting him where it hurts. Nice try, Supermasters of the Universe, saying that you won't give him money because he's a scammer. You don't have any money. Who knows? Who knows? Look, I understand. I'm asking for your faith here. Your faith that I'm not just going to scurry off with whatever. And it's faith because you have no reason to trust unless you happen to have watched previous streams. But you know what? Third Coast Gems watched previous streams. And I don't know. Jay Dizzle. I do in your opinion. Now that's true. Hold on a second. Supreme Master of the Universe. That's true. No matter how poor you may be, I am definitely more poor. But let me go back up to Jay Dizzle. I do think it's funny that after years of Democrats calling for us to give up guns, they are all Second Amendment advocates. So funny. Again, I wouldn't go so far as to say they're Second Amendment advocates. They are pointing out the hypocrisy. And I don't see what's wrong with that. Sincerely, I don't see a problem with pointing out the hypocrisy. Because it tells you a lot about the character of the party. This is something that, from my perspective, they let little kids get massacred in schools because they refuse to make a gun require a license to carry, for example. Um, they don't want any regulation at all on firearms, and yet the moment ICE murders a guy for owning a gun, they turn. I wouldn't say they are being Second Amendment advocates. I would say they are pointing out a major problem with their political opposites. Opposites a hell of a word, though. I will also point out that yet again, when the farther left you go, uh, the more gun owners you have. Man, not gun owners because we're all poor, but gun advocates. Yeah, and it's not even because they enjoy the guns. I wanted to make a point to say not gun owners, but believers in the legality of gun ownership. I am not. I am far left, but I am not of that belief. I think you should have. You should be required to have a license, exactly like a driver's license, for owning any gun in America, because we take for granted cultural osmosis. We take for granted the fact that everybody knows that a gun is supposed to have a safety, or that you don't keep your finger on the trigger when you're walking around with it, or that basic gun ownership stuff. Um, I think we should require something, but I still point out the irony that a guy was killed for being a gun owner, and a deeply right wing administration is trying to use that as the excuse for killing him. And indeed, I think even if I don't think a law should be a certain way, we're not allowed to behave as though it's not. So even though I think we should have stricter requirements for gun ownership, I acknowledge that we don't have them. And Alex Preddy was following the law. He was totally within the law in the manner in which he carried his weapon. It was not okay to murder him just for having the weapon. Yes, sir. I hope Jake does get paid. I'm a patron at Jake's Patreon. Thank you. And if you're in the horizontal stream, the Patreon really is the way to support my normal work. My normal work, which includes this space and interviews and such. That's the stuff I do right, child. That's the way to support me. But for you vertical folks, if you are looking to get a progressive killed, you have an opportunity. You can fund it with the link in the chat. All right. You're half right. He said, I'm going to do one more. Hungry Garfield said he wasn't murdered for having the weapon, you dolt. I am a dolt, but he was murdered for having the weapon. Hey, let's look at Greg Bavino for a second. Let's talk Bavino. Ugh. Funny enough, I have a history with the movie One Battle After Another. I'm not a big fan, to be blunt. Oh, this is all terrible, isn't it? Really unappealing. That's not bad. I don't like the movie One Battle After Another. It's not as bad as I thought it would be from the trailer, but it is stupid, in my opinion. I don't ask everybody to feel that way. It's just personal taste. The reason I say this is because of the bizarre similarities between these two, Greg Bavino and the character Colonel Lockjaw. Basically, I'm not going to go through a whole multi-minute thing. I just want you to know that Colonel Lockjaw, the character, was using his job in the government to support a white nationalist organization. Again, it's a fictional character that we're talking about, but there's reason to believe he was based off Greg Bovino, and fair enough. Look at the emails uncovered. Christopher S. Bullock communicating with Greg Bovino compares him to Confederate generals. Just thought you should check that out. Specifically, Confederate generals that that got black officers or black soldiers out of forts. Did you know that after his disastrous tenure in Minneapolis and flailing attempts to assail murdered victims of his occupying force, I hate this language. You know what? I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to change what we're talking about because I don't like the tone of that article. To be blunt, I just don't like the tone. I agree with. I'm impressed with the information they found, but I just don't like the tone. Hey, this is the guy that's running TikTok now. This is the CEO of TikTok. Let me know what you think about this. I'll ask you, how do you think progressives feel about this?
To designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against. Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech, identifying hateful trends, trying to keep the platform safe. There's no such thing as an end game. We made a change.
Wow. How do you feel about that in either chat? How do you feel? I don't think that calling somebody a Zionist, even if you do so angrily, even if you are doing so to suggest they're a bad person because they're a Zionist, which I don't necessarily believe. I think they are probably a misguided person. But nonetheless, I don't think that calling somebody bad for being a Zionist should mean that it's hate speech. Zionism is not Judaism. Judaism is not Israel. Israel is a country. It is a religious, it's a theocracy, but it is a country nonetheless. There were many, many, many Jewish organizations, and continue to be, that protest Israel's behavior in Palestine, Israel's genocide of Palestine. Those organizations are leftist, of course, because they have principles. But sorry, I could be a sassy bitch. But what do you think? What do you think? Do you think that progressives like what that person said? Yeah. Donald James X, I'd say, is offering a pretty standard answer for the progressives. Sounds like censorship to me. Zionism is a deadly occupation ideology. I agree with both points. Yeah, Summer Day 1983 says anti-Zionism is often mistaken for anti-Semitism. Yes, and I think that's done intentionally. For example, Dana Bash, the news lady, is a fan of doing that, of trying to conflate the two. Chuck Schumer. Let me name a non. I don't know what Dana Bash's religion is, but let me name an atheist. Musk does that from time to time. That's okay, man. I'm uneducated as well. Please explain the difference between Israel, Zionist, and Jewish. Well, Jewish, obviously, it's the religion. It's practiced throughout the world. One of the three Abrahamic religions. It's the first one, the original. It's the Star Wars, A New Hope of the Abrahamic religions. Then you have Israel, the nation founded in 1947 after World War II as a home for the Jews who were victims of the Holocaust, but Jews anywhere, because the United States did not want to give up its own personal land within its borders to create a home for the Jews, nor did England, nor did any other country. But what we did have was a lot of guns in the Middle East. And so we engaged in the mass exodus of the locals and found and said, okay, you can be here. And formed Israel. So Israel, like America, but basically every country, formed out of blood and horror. Zionism is why we formed Israel in that way. It predates Israel. Zionism is the belief that the Jews should have a homeland. And it sounds nice on the surface, but replace it with any other religion for a moment. The Hare Krishnas should have a homeland. When you do it by force, that's a problem. When you attack folks, when you think that you are, by practicing a religion, given rights over other people's bodies here on Earth, that's a problem. Zionism is the belief that Israel should be run by Jews because they are Jews. And it's different than Israel itself. Israel could tomorrow say, hey, you know what? There's Palestinians here too. Maybe it's because we killed a hell of a lot of Palestinians, whatever, but there's Palestinians here too. You know what? There's people of all races and creeds that are in Israel for one reason or another. They will all be represented. We're going to have a traditional democracy, no longer a theocracy. We're not going to make your religion part of the workings of government. Israel could decide to do that. And Israel would still be Israel. It would just no longer be Zionist. So there are three different things. And if you are anti-Zionist, you're essentially saying, yeah, I'm against the idea of a religious theocracy running things. And I think that's reasonable. Most people do not want a theocratic government, because that's what basically the worst governments in the world are. Yeah, ethno-states aren't cool. The circumstances of your birth or your religion should not define your citizenship necessarily. They shouldn't at all. Wow, Hungry Garfield, where do you get this stuff, man? I just don't understand. The only people who are denied a homeland are Europeans/European descended. Are the Irish not in Ireland? Are the English not in England? Are the Scottish not in Scotland? Are the French not in France? I mean, I understand that you want to kick the Danes out of Greenland, but I'm not for that. I'm not sure what you're talking about, man. I think what you're doing here is trying to get me to holler at you. I think you're trying to say something that you know is inaccurate, with the hope that I will, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you hope I do, other than stop talking about what I'm talking about. Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Oh, Domenico, good to see you, man. My most recent search: a world war where the wealthiest lose their lives and the poorest do not. I like this. I like what you're thinking a lot. Oh, now this is interesting. Summer Day said, "Wow, I am an Austrian in Austria, and I welcome the Syrians, Turkish, and Jews. Good for you. Good for you, man. I enjoy Austrians. Not historically all of them, but modern Austrians like Mr. Schwarzenegger. A big fan of your sense of humor and your general wry way of behaving." All right. I'm so disappointed by that Greg Bovino article because I did want to dunk on a movie that I thought you would enjoy me dunking on, but the article is not written neutral, and so I can't use it. So instead, we're going to talk about uh, what ICE has to do to get their $50,000. There is a problem that I see with ICE that is separate from the fact that ICE should not exist. In my opinion, ICE is, well, it's not opinion, this is fact. ICE came about in 2003 as a response to the war on terror. In my opinion, it was a cowardly response, and Americans are fools for having allowed it to come to be. But that's not, like I said with the gun laws, whether or not it ought to be is one conversation. It is here. And since it is here, I want you to show, or I want to show you, I want you to see that progressives aren't only about their beliefs when it benefits us. Progressives are about our beliefs all the time. ICE is here. People have agreed to spend their time doing a job for ICE. They did so on the belief that they would be receiving $50,000 in addition to a standard paycheck. Just knowing what you know, as presumably an outsider, uh, do you think that they are collecting that $50,000? Do you think they've actually had it so far? Do you think they got that? What do ICE employees have to do to get the $50,000 bonus? Well, they have to commit to a multi-year service agreement. Okay, that's all right. A 5-year work commitment to the agency. Fair enough. But they're not paid up front. You know, if you got $50,000, you could put it in the bank and that would collect interest, and that's worth more than if you were, say, given $10,000 every year for 5 years. That's actually what they're getting. It's not the same as $50,000. And I mean, it's literally, it has less value when handed out like that because you cannot make a big purchase. You can't invest with it right away. You cannot do all the things you would have done with 50 grand. So that was a bit of a lie, but it's the sort of lie that we're so used to hearing in America that I just assumed it would be the case. All right, we'll let that go. So it's actually $10,000 a year if you work for 5 years. Bear in mind what might happen in 5 years. Might we have a different president then? Somebody else, in other words, might be left holding the bag for paying out the rest of that money. You have to apply for specific high need positions. So basically, the people who are out there doing the worst work that nobody wants to do, the people who are uh, being told that you have to try to get 3,000 arrests a day, even though they have not been able to do that the entire time because it is an arbitrary number that some fucking politician said in order to make you happy. They said, we're going to get 1 million deportations a year. That's what we're going to get. So that means they got to do 3,000 arrests a day. But the reason they're behaving the way you see them behaving, where they're snatching up just anybody they can find, the reason there's people out there blowing whistles is because, well, obviously the very nature of what they do is evil in our opinion, but also because they're behaving like a bunch of savages. Because they're trying to meet an unrealistic goal set by pencil pushers who don't do the jobs themselves. They got to pass screenings and assessments. Okay. They've got to meet experience and education requirements. Okay. So the new person that thought, maybe I'll turn my life around, they don't get it, but okay. But here's the biggest thing: retention. Bonuses are there not just to get you to sign on, but to get you to not quit. That means if, say, they send you to Minnesota during a historic cold snap, when it's negative 30 degrees with the wind chill, or just actual negative 15 degrees, and you are walking around in your vans, your civilian shoes that you brought, because even though they got $175 billion, more money than every police force in the country put together, they didn't issue you boots for the snow in winter in Minnesota. When you're doing that and you fall down and you crack your kneecap, or you tear your ACL, or otherwise injure yourself on the job, and you can no longer meet the physical requirements because you can't fucking walk, you don't get the rest of the money. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that money is only for folks that stay in the fields, you understand. You don't get that money anymore. Again, this is more money, $175 billion. This is more money than all police in America combined. ICE just got more money. While they're still leaving, they pull somebody out of the car, they just leave the car there for police to take care of. When they shoot somebody in the back, they walk off for police to take care of. They got more money for all that, so I assume they'd have the gear. I assume they would get their bonuses without argument, but no. These cheap motherfuckers are doing everything in their power to keep money out of your hands. I'm talking to you, vertical audience. Horizontal audience, I know you don't like these, the ICE folks, but I want them to hear why all this hate that they are asked to accept is there in the first place. It's so they can screw you over for money. It's just for money, vertical folks. That's it. What happened to the $175 billion? Enough money, by the way, to house every homeless person in America. Just straight up buy them a home. Every homeless person in America, about 17 times over. Because it would take $11 billion to accomplish that. ICE got more money than all of that. Well, the Green Lobster, you say you love ICE. Wait a minute. Darth Alba, you say God bless ICE. I don't believe you. The Green Lobster, I don't believe you love ICE. Because I haven't seen not one MAGA person speak up for the unrealistic expectations that have been asked about ICE. I haven't seen one MAGA person address the fact that they are outfitted with their own sneakers that they brought from home to go walk around in the snow in Minnesota. I haven't seen one person behave like they actually give a shit about ICE as human beings. Now, I'll tell you this bluntly. I don't. I hope they fall down and accidentally blow their own brains out. And then I'll see them in hell when they get there. But I don't think you actually care. And the reason I don't think you care is because I think you are, and I'm sorry to be harsh to you here, but I'm talking to you specifically, the Green Lobster. Because I think you just said this the way I saw people pretend to care about my brother. My brother's a Marine. My brother fought overseas. And I saw so many conservatives praise him for that. Not one of them complained when the Republican Party would not fund bills taking care of burn pit victims who were serving. Not one of them was willing to send more money to the VA. Not one of them was willing to expand programs that help soldiers. They would all praise soldiers, and instead of acting then like we gave a damn about them, they just let them rot. You don't get our support, you get our love. You don't get a dollar, you get our love. You don't love ICE. You want them to be a toy for you to play with. You're playing army guys on the TV right now. You don't love ICE. Because I'm sitting here telling you how you can improve their working conditions. Even I'm setting aside the fact that I hate these people. Actually hate, not pretend hate like you pretend love. I actually hate these human beings. I'm risking what little finances I have because my audience hates them so much. They don't like me saying nice things about them to you, and they might have a damn good point. I'm taking personal risk for these people on principle because I want my principles to be adopted by all, not just the people I agree with. I want people to be treated in a principled manner, including all employees of every organization, even the slave catchers, even the Nazis. So, you say you love ICE. Why does nobody acknowledge that the quotas they've been asked to fulfill are impossible? And I think impossible by design. Why does nobody acknowledge that $50,000 that was dangled to get a bunch of folks to sign up is not intended to be handed over? Why do none of you acknowledge that Kristi Noem burned $200 million of it already for herself? Kristi Noem commercial riding horse cost. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm sorry for blaspheming. I got hot. I'm sorry for blaspheming. But based on reports regarding a 2025 Department of Homeland Security advertising campaign wherein Kristi Noem is featured riding around on a horsey, Kristi Noem was part of a larger $220 million taxpayer-funded ad campaign. Well, ICE are wearing their own shoes they brought from home in the winter in Minnesota. Kristi Noem gets flown out to ride on a horse for a TV commercial that is essentially a campaign ad for her. I don't think you really love ICE. And if you think you love ICE, then re-examine what is the value of your love. I saw Jay Dizzle. I'm sorry. I saw Jay Dizzle, and I want to talk to that again. But first, I want to talk to Donald James X. Whatever ICE is getting paid, it's too damn much. With our mother tax dollars, too. But it doesn't piss you off to see your tax dollars wasted in such a manner? Yes, it does. I think not only should we not pay them, I think we have seen Greg Bovino, we've seen Jonathan Ross, we've seen a bunch of masked thugs commit crimes that deserve serious jail time to the point where the word jail is insufficient. They need to go to prison for more than a decade. They are a danger to the community, and they've shown that in their behavior. And I also think that even if I somehow got everybody to agree with me right now, not a single thing would change about how ICE operates. Because I don't think people are in the mood or even know how to change any of this stuff. But I do want them to see. because this is the most extreme example of a difference in our opinions that I can come up with. And it is it is within that context of the extreme difference in our opinions that they can see who we really are and what our principles really are. Remember, this stream started with somebody calling me a leftist liberal cuck, wherein it would have been more accurate to call me a leftist cuck, and I wouldn't have minded that. Uh, but they don't know who we are, and I also don't think they know who they are, because all these folks a month ago would have claimed to believe in the Second Amendment, and now they're not. And I just think they haven't been asked to examine their beliefs sincerely. And you know what? Even if you don't wind up believing anything that I believe, we can still work together. For example, I would, and I don't have a suggestion, but if you are, especially if Jay Dizzle is still here, if you are any returning vertical viewer, I have homework for you. Just think about something, because I will ask you again next time. How do you think you conservatives can help us progressives stop Gavin Newsom for running from president? Do we all agree? I think we all agree right now, right here and now. I think there's 100% agreement between both streams that Gavin Newsom should never be president, ever, ever. How can we work together? How can we take advantage of perhaps the fact that they don't expect us to work together? How can we work together to make sure uh, that Gavin Newsom never comes anywhere near the White House? I'm willing to take almost all suggestions. When I see Gavin Newsom, I see Barack Obama too, basically. A bunch of people. No, no, I see Bill Clinton too. And that is shockingly even worse. Yeah, don't vote for him. That's the thing is I don't vote for any of these bastards in the primaries. But once it gets to the general, they're going to do that. It's going to be the same thing that it always is. And people are going to be saying, "Well, it's either Newsom or this horrible thing," and they will show us why the other option is horrible no matter what. And I think by the point I don't know. I don't know. I will not be voting for him. At least that's not my intention. Who knows? It's a crazy world. Once upon a time, I wouldn't have said I would have voted for Bernie, and that changed massively. I don't know that I would agree with that, man. Lots of people run as Democrats uh, simply because what they want to say is they're independent. But you'll get swamped if you're an independent. Like Bernie Sanders, I think he runs as a Democrat. Um, and now I agree, though. I'm sorry. I agree with the spirit of what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying. I agree with the spirit of it. I know you won't agree with me, but I would extend that to Republicans as well. I think basically we have a party that is full of child molesters or protectors of child molesters. I think Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump are basically the prime examples of these types of people. I think they're very good at winking at what we believe in, and then just protecting child molesters. And I don't ask you to even agree with me about that Trump statement, but I know you agree with me about Gavin Newsom. And I'm telling you, if you can come up with a good strategy for fucking over Gavin Newsom's life, um, y- eh, you will have progressives who are genuinely grateful to you, because we fucking hate it. We see Gavin Newsom's political career growing like a cancer, and we desperately want to stop it. Oh, this is not so, John Gulf. Bernie is a leftist, yes, but it's because he's a leftist that he specifically doesn't push everything the Democratic establishment pushes. He is arguably the antithesis to the Democratic establishment. So much so, fun fact, that they conspired twice to undermine him. First, in 2016, during the primaries, and second, when he was absolutely crushing the primaries in 2020, all other candidates withdrew except for Elizabeth Warren, the other semi progressive person. All other candidates withdrew so they could put their weight behind Joe Biden, the establishment guy. And they did so at the behest of who? You know what? Horizontal chat. Who do you think had a meeting with who do you think called people on behalf of Joe Biden and asked them to drop out of the race? I'm just asking the horizontal chat, the progressives. If you had to guess, what evil see you next Tuesday called up all the other candidates, including Pothole Pete? Uh, I'm just calling him his mean name. Let's see if you got it. Oh, there it is. First guess correct. Obama. Yeah, it was Obama. I would argue if you think that Bernie Sanders is a progressive, excuse me, if you think that Bernie Sanders is in line with the Democrats, that you have been given a an opinion of progressives which is intentionally incorrect. And I suspect, because I see you with these misconceptions, I suspect that we have the same or similar misconceptions about you. But let me tell you what. The end game is this, and it's happening this year. And so I hope we win. I'm being so frank with you in these conversations because I feel that we need you. And you might not realize it yet, but you need us because your guys actually haven't won. I'm sorry to say. I almost wish they did so we could get an earnest view of what your politics would be like in action, but you're not getting that. Trump made more money in office this term than he has at any other point in his life. I can't. I'm not on a high horse telling you that. Our guy Biden, ugh, he committed a genocide on our watch. But we do find one thing that we consistently agree on, and that is that big money's got to be out of politics. We got to undo Buckley v. Vallejo. We have to undo Citizens United. And we have to make it so that Bill Gates, George Soros, Warren Buffett, the Koch brothers, AIPAC, everybody who controls our lives in this manner is no longer allowed to buy our politicians. And we do that by ensuring that nobody who accepts money from these monsters makes it through the primaries. So more and more, I will be asking you to help us, and I will be offering to help you in any way that we can with our primaries. Because then we can go and have an honest fight in the general elections. And you'll vote for your folks, we'll vote for our folks. But there will not be people who take big money take bribes, basically, in those positions, who tell us they believe what we believe, but actually what they believe is that they're addicted to the money from these folks. And I'll tell you, what I really want deep down is not that controversial. And I'll tell it to you here and now in a moment of honesty, in the hopes that you will consider supporting this plan of mine. Because what I want is really not that scary. What I want is not that big a deal. I envision a future where you and I one day, with the realization that 99% of our life's problems come from these oligarchs that have been buying our elections. We just all together as one big movement run out into the streets wearing whatever we're wearing at the time, our naked feet slapping against the cement, and we drag the people I've mentioned, George Soros, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, the Koch brothers, just 0.0001% of the US population that owns the 15% of all of our wealth. We drag them out of their homes and we just literally start tearing them apart and devouring them alive right there in the streets. You hold down an arm, I'll hold down an arm. Tinkerbell reach into the stomach and pull the intestines out. Donald James X bashing Jeff Bezos' head open on the cement to get to those tasty, tasty, salty brains. That's all I want. And I think we can make it happen if we work together. This has been WICD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake. Never trust Whitey.